Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever it is, wherever you are, whoever you are, folks, and welcome to this week's episode of Full Fat Spoiler Chat. And this week we're going to be spoiling the heck out of Blood of Zeus, the new animated series that is on Netflix. Well, it's Netflix, so they dump a binge. So a couple of weeks ago, I think it dropped. Anyway, I'm
Hmm.
Rodney Brown. I'm the editor in chief of Nerd Caliber, our website, first person shooter on the internets, particularly Facebook, as a cosplay photographer, Burley underscore adopter on Twitter and a few other places. Joining me tonight, let's start with, I was going to say the guy with a cap, but you're both wearing caps. We'll start with the guy with a toque. Byron, if you would.
All right. Hi, guys. Byron McNeil, aka Byron D Zero, um, Renaissance man of the internet. Still working on it. I have a bunch of different projects all over the place. Um, I guess I'll promote my webcomic again. Codename Blackbird. Been taking a 2 week hiatus just because holidays are draining. So there's that. If you want to check it out, go you and see my other projects, go to my link tree. It's linktr.ee Byron D Zero.
Awesome. Very cool. And the founder of this whole shebang, Manny, if you would.
Hello, this is Manny. I am the founder and reader editor at Nerd Caliber, and behind me is the great Zeus. Please don't mind him. He he won't have much to say this time around.
Yeah.
We don't
um,
want him anyway.
yeah, I'd rather have him than the one in the. Anyway. Uh, before we get
Save it.
started, welcome Sofia DeCecco. I think that's how we pronounce that. Welcome to the chat over on YouTube. I don't think we've got anybody yet on the Facebooks or the Twitches. So once again, the warning is this is a spoiler chat. We're going to be spoiling the heck out of the series to bring up all of our points, all of our complaints, criticisms, all of our compliments, anything that we discuss. We're going to be talking about things that happen throughout the entire series, all the way to the very end. So yeah, it's going to be spoiled. If you don't want it to be spoiled, then I would bid you adieu. If you don't mind, hang in and chat with us. As we always do when we start this, I'll give a little bit of background about this, but it is an original production animation, so there isn't a whole lot to go into as far as the background. It's the story, it's an alternate take on some stories within Greek mythology. It's the story of the gods, their fight against the Titans, and then these giants that were supposedly spawned from the blood of the Titans. And specifically the story of two half brothers, one of whom is a demigod, and their conflict and how that winds up connecting to the conflict among the gods and basically struggle for the savior of humanity. Blah blah blah.
Hmm.
The series was written by and executive produced by two, I'm assuming, related individuals. I can't find out whether they're brothers or not, and they were born in slightly separated towns within New Jersey. But Charlie Parlapanides and Vlas Parlapanides. Um, these guys, their only credits are the 2011 movie Immortals with Henry Cavill and Mickey Rourke in the giant flytrap helmet, which is the dumbest movie ever made. Okay, there have been dumber movies, but it's right up there. Um, and they both wrote the screenplay to the Netflix live action adaptation of Death Note.
Interesting. That I didn't know.
So that's going to
Oh my
bring us
god.
right up to
That
where
explains so
it
much.
explains so much. Um, so let's start right out of the gate. We usually do before we get into themes, etc. And I'm not sure we're going to do that because I don't think there are themes in this, or at least we'll try anyway. Is we talk about what we like and dislike. Um, and I'm going to start with Byron. And let's start with likes because I'm going to guess that if you're like me, your likes are fewer, much fewer than
Yes.
your dislikes. So fire away.
Okay. The, the music was okay. Wasn't exactly memorable, but there were a couple. There were a couple of decent tracks. I'm kind of up and down the animation. Like like the movement was there, but it felt generic.
Yep. Now I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I think what I'm gonna say is going to reinforce why you feel that way. But go ahead.
yeah. Uh,
If you,
Yeah,
yeah,
I understand. I
if you can't
understand.
pull out any more likes, then move on to dislikes.
yeah. Okay, I will gladly jump on the dislikes because I got a big old pile of them. First of all, it didn't feel very fun. Like it's one of those kind of stories that sucks the fun out of the room.
Yep.
Because you're kind of just like, oh, jeez, we're doing this. They fridged the mom. They fridged her. Oh my god, I hate that trope. So I hate the woman in the fridge trope so much.
So I was
I
originally
could
going to
write an
argue
entire.
against that because fridging involves the death being the primary motivation of the character from that point on. But in fact, ultimately, that was kind of the only motivation for Heron, and became kind of the main motivation for Seraphim. So yeah, all right, yeah, I will retract
Yeah,
my initial push against that. It was fridging.
yes. Again, going back on the animation, it was nothing special. It was generic. Uh, Jesus, so many other things. Uh, yeah, going back to the animation though, like the expressions were just like,
You mean like that? You can't if you're
yeah,
not watching, you can't see this, but it's a promo shot
yeah,
that shows Hera looking devious, Heron looking oblivious, which is pretty much his only expression, and Zeus about to go into full on Zapper rage. So
I'm gonna stick my dick in it.
anyway,
Sorry,
yes, yeah, I get it.
but yeah, and one thing I will praise the movie for, like the show for some of the depiction of the gods, like they were all petty and not none of them were really good people.
Yep,
Which, if you've read or heard enough Greek mythology stories, you know that's generally how they roll.
true, true.
And I think that's it for me, honestly.
All right, Manny,
I don't want to turn this into an hour of ranting.
it's pretty much going to be close to that because there's not much else to talk about this thing. But yeah, so Manny, if you have any likes,
All right. Well, I agree with Byron about music. The music was decent. Heron, the character itself himself is not terrible. He was actually the only thing
That's
really
debatable.
driving me through this movie because everything else, well, let me stick to the likes. Um, and honestly, that's really it for likes. Everything else was disappointing. I love Greek mythology, and I love how the 20th and the 21st century has been reinventing Greek mythology. A great example of that, probably the best example of that, is Wonder Woman. You
yep,
know what?
Hmm.
The reinvention how Amazons were looked at. Amazons in ancient Greek mythology was not was made as a warning at the time when it was made. Warning like, oh, this is what happens when women have power. They go to these extremes, blah blah blah. But when by the 20th century we have reinvented that, made Amazon as a symbol of feminism, of power, all these other great things. Um, I feel like this series actually pushed it back a few decades. This is something I probably would have liked maybe as a kid in the 80s, along with like other movies like it, like Clash of the Titans,
yep.
the original, not let's not even talk about the remake. Um, but
There was a
um,
remake.
but there was nothing really new about this. I was really disappointed that Hera was the bad guy in all this, and I'm like, it's that I don't I'm not sure the name of the trope, but it's that, the I hate the stories where the man cheats on the woman and the woman suddenly goes so far and crazy, and then is the cheater is looked like as the good guy, the one that's sensible. And
Right.
that's what I I hate how Zeus
Yeah.
is portrayed that way in the show. Like, hey, I had an affair because she's crazy, and then she goes to these Hera goes to these crazy extremes and brings back the children of the Titans to team up. Oh, that was so ridiculous. I'm like, why?
Yeah, it
This
was
is
pretty stupid.
this is so dumb. It's but Heron I did like as a character. I hated his brother, his half brother, the motivations and I mean, his backstory was interesting.
Yeah.
His name doesn't make any sense because seraphim is a biblical thing. Why is this in Greek mythology? That's that's
Because
don't
they
even.
don't care.
It was this. The only oh, Jason O'Mara as Zeus. Jason O'Mara kills it. Always kills it in his voice acting.
Yep.
Great Batman. Matthew Mercer as Hermes. Pretty cool. You know. Um, I don't recognize the rest of the cast, but those I when I heard the voice, I was like, oh, okay, I know who that is. Um,
Jessica Henwick was the Amazon girl.
Yes, Alexia. Um,
you,
so
you
Jessica
notice that,
Henwick from the wonderful, wonderful Iron Fist.
yeah, and her character's okay. I love strong women in stories, but I feel like they use the same type of strong women in these type of stories over and over and over again. I
Yep.
mean, I just actually was watching the remake of Clash of the Titans because I was trying to remember certain things about it, and it was the what was it, Andromeda?
Yes.
It's and this character in Blood of Zeus is the same character,
Yep.
same type of character, and I was like, oh boy.
Yep. Let's make a
Um,
character that's going to be the tough woman. Now,
yeah.
just before, I'm going to butcher your name, so I'm sorry, but I think it's Vivalandinha. Welcome to the show. Hello from Brazil, or hello from the United States to a Brazilian. Sophia V. His appearance in animation was great, but none of these characters had anything worthwhile. Can you tell I'm salty? I wasted time on it.
Right?
Sophia, we're all that way, and frankly, that's kind of why we created this show, is that we can get salty on the show about stuff that we wasted time on, and praise stuff that is really good. Our Lovecraft Country episode was basically just us all drooling over Lovecraft
Mm,
Country.
Mm.
Um, any further criticisms? I'm
I,
sure you'll jump
I,
in when I lay out some of mine as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I could go on more, just like Byron could, but I want to hear your thoughts.
So,
Please.
things I liked. And by the time the series was over, I went from full on hate to, yeah, this was pretty much just a waste of my time. Um, Sophia, Cauldron of Darkness, like, come on! Yeah. Um, I really
Evil.
like a lot of the character designs. I'll give the production company, the studio, props for that. Um, they were as interesting as the character designs for Castlevania. They also did Castlevania and Seis Manos, both Netflix animated series. Um,
But
much better
more
than,
inspired.
more inspired, much better than the designs for Seis Manos. I didn't particularly care for the look of that at all. But like what just popped up on your screen, these are the gods as they're presented early on in the first episode, and all decked out for their war against the giants that was spawned by the Titans. Sophia V, love your work, guys. Thank you very much. I like these designs. I think this is really cool. They evoke the the concept of what the gods represent for each of their particular areas of expertise, their specialties, their
Mm-hmm.
realms, and so on, while being pretty interesting and innovative enough without going like super wacky, like World of Warcraft giant pauldron crap or anything like that. Stuck to fits and designs that could have been believable as ancient Greek. Um, I really like the designs of the giants, even though I thought the concept of the giants were stupid. I mean, they're basically kaiju, know, and the concept is really dumb. The gods defeat the Titans completely, and then some of the blood of the last one creates these giants, which then come up and fight the gods, and apparently are pretty tough. They're also Rans. They're second tier. They're things that got spawned out of the blood of one Titan, and the gods defeated the Titans. Why are they having problems with these things? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, but I like their design, and I'm going to say it right here. I think Squid Lady is really hot. Um, that one. The direction of this whole series is garbage, but that one like complete rip-off Joss Whedon Black Widow butt shot as she moves through towards the attacking move to the coast so they can attack Mount Olympus. I'm like, hey, nice butt. I mean, it's the size of the New Orleans Superdome, but nice butt. And
Please crush me with it.
yeah, exactly. But that's kind of it. The design, there is, as Byron mentioned about the animation, it's kind of hit or miss. It's here, it's all over the place. Some of the combat scenes, particularly in the end, are pretty good. The final fight with the Titans, there's something that, if this was anime, would actually be called Sakuga. And it's clear that they saved all of their effort for that. And one of the worst examples of that I can think of is in the episode where Heron is training to learn how to use his demigod powers on Mount Olympus in the arena against one of Hephaestus's automatons.
Training montage!
Yeah. Well, it could have been a training. It was a training montage. And quick side thing, Byron was talking about the music. The music was wrong in anywhere except like horror and drama. That training montage should have been funny. And I think that's one of the things where you were talking about how they sort of missed and that it was a slog. There were a lot of points in there where there could have been humor that was driven by what was presented on the screen and reinforced by musical cues. And they were just playing the same strings. It's like, the guy's, it's funny. He's getting his ass handed to him, shot after shot after shot. That's a funny training montage. There should be, humorous music to reinforce that. Nope. It's just like, I don't know, Rocky running up the steps. Except not that dramatic and not that uplifting. It's just, oh, we're still scary and spooky. It's like, no, you're not. But when he finally learns that he has to kind of let go of his anger and to be able to at least understand tactics, and he sees an opening in the automaton's armor, so he can see the clockwork beneath it, and drives a spear into that, and then jumps up and shield bashes the spear so it goes all the way through the thing and smashes out its back, and clockwork stuff smashes out its back. That shot is presented in a straight, boxed, 90-degree view. You're looking at side-on spear, side-on automaton, and then it only turns around and shows the back, but from a distance, and stuff comes out. Can you imagine what that attack would look like in the hands of the key animator for My Hero Academia? That would have been like this absolutely triumphant moment of finally learning something, and the stuff comes spraying out. Your camera view would be under here, and all the stuff comes spraying out over you. It was consistently garbage and direction. Pretty animation in a lot of cases.
Taking notes, Studio Bones.
Yeah, they're definitely no Studio Bones. They're no Mappa. They're certainly not
Madhouse. Definitely not.
They're not Madhouse, and they're not Ufotable or Ufotable or whatever they call themselves. This isn't Demon Slayer, folks. No way. Sophia Viet, it almost felt Bollywood-like. Random memories out of nowhere to remind the character to believe in himself, like a main character for him. Well, I didn't even get into that, Sophia, but you're right. The writing in this is just, now that we know who wrote it, is god-awful. There's no motivation. God's awful. There you go. There's no motivation for Heron. Heron is a slightly less whiny Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. That's it.
Yeah, he's very reactive.
He is literally driven to do what he does through this entire show. He is reactive. He's passive. There is no agency for Heron whatsoever, even when they try to make him have some agency because he wants revenge for his mom. And even that is just, it's as bad as Anakin's, revenge for his mom. It's that weak. Sophia Villa got tired of seeing the same flashback over and over again. They reinforced the story of how these two brothers, came about and what happened to them and so on in so many different ways that I got so sick and tired of seeing that. I was like, yeah, we know. And now, right out of this first episode, we know who the leader of the demons. Don't get me started on that.
Ugh.
No such thing in Greek mythology as demons. Ugh. Um, but we know, right? Unless you really weren't paying attention, you knew exactly who Seraphim was. And I agree with you, Manny, 100%. That's the stupidest. Why would you have all of these reasonably accurate Greek names from script written and story written by two Greek people, or at least their last names are Greek, and then throw in literally a Judeo-Christian type of angel? That's what a seraphim is. It's a type of angel. Out of actually Hebraic tradition more than Christian, but still. It's just mind-boggling. I mean, they went out of their way to make the African character. They gave him an actual African's name, Kofi. You can't do that with yet one more Greek guy. Oh, just so annoying. And the inconsistency. This is the kind of detail stuff that isn't really a problem or shouldn't be, but it bugs the hell out of me. They went out of their way to make sure that everybody called whatever city they happened to be in Poli, or we pronounce it Polis, Polis. Never said city, never once. It was always referred to as Poli. And then they named one of Zeus's other demigod sons Hercules, not Heracles. Why would you give him the Roman name? Anyway, little stuff like that bothers me. I'll give them this one thing. Whoever the director was knows fight scenes. If it's the same director as Seis Manos, Seis Manos did fantastic martial arts fight scenes. That was about the only good thing about that series. Mm-hmm. And right at the very beginning, in the first series, when we first meet Alexia and Heron, and they're fighting the demons in the amphitheater of their own polis or Poli. After they defeat the demon and Heron gives Alexia a hand up, she's holding her falcata backwards. And I'm just absolutely furious at that. I was like, that's just stupid. Why would you do that? I can't imagine any animator being that dumb. So I scrolled back and watched the end of the fight, and I'll give them this credit. This blew my mind when I saw it. She picks up her falcata from where it's on the ground backwards to block, using the back of the blade, the much harder, thicker back of the blade, an attack coming from the demon that's fighting her. And she's still holding it exactly the same way when Heron comes to pick her up. I'm like, okay, that's really smart fight animation and sticking to detail stuff. Why can't they do that for the rest of the damn thing? Oh, just really annoying. Sophia V, oh God, this is on the same level as the live-action Percy Jackson movie. Which one? Because
I would venture to say is on par with the 90s Hercules series.
No, I get it. Well, no. The 90s Hercules series, for all of its problematic depictions of Hades and other things that, I didn't like about it, the writing and the stories, and particularly the character interaction between Hercules and Hades, were way better, in some cases, than the movie. Lindsay Ellis did a fantastic analysis of that. If you get a chance, go watch it on her YouTube channel.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. I watched that one. Definitely, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. But so I like the animation to some extent, although it's really, inconsistent. I like the character designs for the most part. And the voice acting, like you said, Jason O'Mara is really good. Even what's his name, Derek something, who plays
Derek Phillips.
Yes, is good for what they give him, to do, which is nothing. Jessica Henwick as Alexia was pretty good. oh, here's one of the worst, the dumbest story writing elements that I thought when they have to. When Alexia is leading the group of them that does not include Heron to try to find the giant's body, and they have to go through that field of the dead, um, which hey, Tolkien ripoff, okay. Um,
The cauldron.
and this episode starts. The previous episode stops with them going up there, and it's Kofi and Evios, I think was his name, and Alexia, and then a bunch of her soldiers. And the next episode starts, and they're about to go down there, and it's those first three, a couple of their soldiers, and two or three brand new people we've never seen before. One of whom is this fantastic, huge, blonde Amazon chick with a gigantic two-handed axe, and I'm like, I want to know who she is. And the rogue type chick with the two daggers and so on. It's like, yeah, let's cannon fodder.
Yeah. Waste. Just a waste.
Oh,
Such a shame.
Such a shame and so stupid. Why? And that this gets to what Manny was talking about Hera, the characterization of women. Why create two female characters just for less than half of an episode that didn't exist prior to that whatsoever? Like literally, we're shown them and like, where'd they come from? Just to let us watch two females die for supposed what emotional impact. Anyway, those are most of my rants.
You know what's the sad thing about all this is that it's been season 2 and season 3, if I read correctly, it's been greenlit.
So the last I saw was that they weren't sure if even season 2 was going to be greenlit because they were waiting for more numbers to come in. So if that is in fact the case, then catching on my microphone here, then I am sad.
Yeah, because there's so many better shows on Netflix that could use another season than that. To me, the story felt finished. As terrible as it was, at least it was.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, it really did. Even though you got the big reveal at the end, and it's like, oh, okay. So now we've got more stuff going on. First off, let me bring this. So here's the images of the gods are fighting. Over here, the guy with the Witch King of Angmar helmet. That's Hades, and that's his bident, two-prong, two-teeth bident, so they call it, as opposed to Poseidon over here with his trident. That's again spoiler show. So the big reveal at the end is that Hades has been doing this all along, and he gave that what we always thought was a spear to Seraphim, and it's actually Hades' bident. Not a single god who ever saw that recognized it. It's Hades. They've lived with him forever. Literally, they're immortals. They didn't recognize Hades' bident in the hands of Seraphim. Oh, anyway. So, was there anything even remotely like a theme to this show?
It's a good question. I've been trying to think that and trying to dissect this series to find out, okay, what is the point? And I really don't think there is. If there is, I think that the two writers just wanted to tell a typical Greek story that might work with viewers. They try to do the typical hero's journey formula. Right. That maybe Joseph Campbell sort of set up. Well, not set up, revealed. And I felt like that's what it was trying to do, but I just didn't care. I don't care about any of these. I mean, I don't care for the series to come back at all. Yep. Which is, it's sad because I wouldn't mind more Greek reinventions of Greek mythology and yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I kind of found I almost came out of it with some sort of point, but it wasn't a good one. It was a very tired, antiquated type of theme where it's like anger bad, forgiveness good, and it's like, but nothing was learned. Nothing like it didn't. Not like there was no lesson from it. It was just some real it was just like some dumb slap dashed ham-fisted moral that
Right.
didn't really deserve didn't deserve its resolution.
So, and I agree. They try to make it about that. You know, Zeus always telling Heron, "You've got to let go of your anger. You've got to let go of your anger. You know, you're not going to access your true power unless you let go of your anger." And then at the end, Heron basically somehow using Zeus's power, literally fries his brother. Um, Even though he, in theory, was close to the point of forgiving him. I mean, all of Heron's entreaties to try to, or Seraphim's entreaties to try to get Heron to join him because the gods have been screwing the two of them over consistently, which is true, is playing in Heron's mind, and it ends with, "Oh gosh, that's really too bad," because then it ends with, you know, you know, but you're going to want to rule the world, aren't you? And which
Yeah.
he never said.
Yeah,
Not,
he just wanted to kill the gods. That was
yeah.
his main thing.
Well, first he wanted to just kill the nobles, and then when he found out the gods were screwing him over, he wanted to kill the gods. He never once said he wanted to rule the world. Where that came in as a motivation for Heron to want to try to stop him, I have no fucking idea. That was not said by Seraphim anywhere in that show.
I can't think of any case.
You know, there are no good themes in the show. There are bad themes in the show. You know, the idea of forgiveness is terrible. The idea of how women are portrayed or is terrible.
Absolutely.
Uh, how to write stories, storytelling is terrible.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's nothing. There's no good theme that this has nothing to offer me that I could take with me and feel like, wow, I enriched myself by watching this.
Right, right. Sophia V, wait, are you serious? The final scene meant Hades was the mastermind? I misinterpreted that so bad. I thought he was just trolling Seraphim by saying kneel to joke that he miserably failed. So when Seraphim is trying to call what he thinks is his spear to his hand, and it goes by him, and Hades catches it, he looks at Seraphim and says, "You have used my bident well." Meaning he's either admitting to that point that he gave the bident to Seraphim without his knowledge, or I'm assuming that it was in fact with his knowledge. And yeah, the implication there is that Hades is the he's the mastermind behind the whole thing. You know, that
although we should be careful that these writers had any good ideas about that. I would be surprised if they just totally forget that next season. Like,
well, yeah, like they thought that the big
Yeah.
supposedly actually Hades and the three brothers, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus, are going to be the main characters in the next season. So it looks like it's going to be a flashback as to how they all sort of went into their own domains, from what I've read. But yeah. So you talked about, Manny, the idea of it's being a hero's journey. You can't have a hero's journey without a journey. You know, you can't have a hero's journey without trials. Heron undergoes no real trial other than the emotional trial of losing a parent.
He fights a robot. That's about it.
And then he fights a friggin' robot. You know.
you know, heroes do go to the bathroom at times, which is exactly what this show pretty much symbolizes.
Yes. Yeah, this was, the two guys behind the live action Death Note dumped all over Greek mythology. I don't think there's anything better.
Sacred cows make the best burgers, right?
Well, there you go. Sophia, great. So I can move. The only good thing the show did is not use Hades as the big bad guy yet again. I think that's the case, and I think that I was in your camp because somewhere in the middle, somebody says, to the effect that Hades really doesn't care. He just runs his domain or something like that. Alanot, I'm watching now Blood of Zeus, and it's very good. Say I for Portugal. I'm glad you're enjoying it. We obviously didn't. We're going to spoil it
Yeah.
if you're hanging in here. We're talking about. Actually, we're wrapping up. There's not much else to say
Mm-hmm.
about this thing. Um, but if you're going to hang
Yeah,
in,
we're gonna
Alanot, we're
complain
going to
more.
spoil it for you. But yeah, at the end, it turns out that apparently he is the big bad guy again. Um, and I just, I agree with you 100%. That is so disappointing. You know, Hades in Greek
One thing I wanted to add
mythology.
to that.
Go ahead.
One thing I wanted to add to that reveal of Hades was when I watched it, I didn't want to believe it. So I kind of just lied to myself, like, nah, this is like he's not the mastermind. They couldn't be doing this. No, 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 no. Because I'm just so tired of the media's depiction of Hades being the the Greek equivalent of the Judeo-Christian devil.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Ever since
He's
the Greek.
not necessarily like he's just a guy doing his job.
Yep.
He's not he's not necessarily evil. He's not trying to go world. He's just trying to keep. He's trying to make sure the balance between life and death is as it should be.
Yeah.
And every effing writer seems to miss that point.
And where's Athena? Where's Demeter? Where's Persephone? Where are these other gods in this show?
You see Persephone at the end. She's the one that's bringing the trees back to life. I would assume that Athena is the one with sort of the silvery hair who looked a little bit huntress, because Athena is also Diana the Huntress, you know, esque. But I don't know that for sure. And you're right. Very important gods or goddesses. Let's put it this way: goddesses. The only goddess with a speaking role is Hera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, Athena, literally the goddess of wisdom.
Yeah.
Like one of the most important parts of the Greeks didn't put their giant temple on or in the top of Athens and call it the Poseidonon. It's the Parthenon. Oh, anyway.
No.
There's so many
Yeah.
bad decisions about this. Awful, silly writing. So this is essentially, the story of this is essentially the same story as that movie Immortals. Demigod, in the movie Immortals, it's Theseus played by Henry Cavill, and it's not the Theseus from, well, it's supposed to be the Theseus from the Greek mythology, but there's nothing about Minos or the Minotaur or anything like that. It's Theseus, and he goes up against, in this case, an evil human king who is trying to get a super powerful magical weapon that can kill the gods. The sword in Blood of Zeus, it's a bow and arrow in the Immortals. And at the very end, they give Heron a bow and arrow. And like, it's the same damn movie. It's the same goddamn movie without Mickey Rourke in a flytrap helmet. Oh. Anyway. Any other commentary on this, guys? Anything else other than, please don't give us an episode or season 2 and 3?
I would like to add that if you're looking, well, if you're looking to play a role-playing game based on Greek mythology, there's a lot of great ones out there. Scarred Lands, which is written by a very a team of diverse individuals. There's Odyssey of the Dragon Lords, which is a very interesting 5e D&D 5e game. Arcadia is independent, but that's also very good. And recently, D&D themselves released a source book called Theros, which is their own version of Greek mythology into D&D, which is great because they take out all the problematic elements. They have a whole new set of gods, and it's fantastic. I would suggest do that. I would suggest, again, stick to Wonder Woman or Hercules in Marvel Comics. That's very good. The recent stuff is very good. Yeah, stay away from this. If you like Greek mythology, stay away from this.
Mhm.
You'll have your heart broken.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Byron?
I want to add to that as well. In the video game realm, Immortals Phoenix Rising, it's a Zelda clone, but it's a lot of fun.
Yep.
You know, it's on all the platforms. It, I feel like it puts the gods in a more comedic light, but at the same time, it respects the mythos way more than this does.
Yeah, if you want to see something where somebody's got a beef against the gods, play God of War.
Yeah. There's a game for the Switch and for I don't remember what's the company's name. But it's called Hades, and I heard that's fantastic.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it is called Hades, but it's the main character is the son of Hades.
Yeah.
And that portrayal of Hades is the exact way he should be portrayed. Basically, just some guy who's way too busy because there's a lot of dead people that he has to take care of. You know, and it's like, yeah, that's Hades. One little story. So the original Greek mythology or story of Heracles, part of his trials when he has to go into the underworld, he asks to borrow Cerberus, and Hades' only demand is, "Don't get my dog hurt." That's it. That there's no nothing devious. There's just like, "Don't get my dog hurt." That's Hades. My one thing is, so Powerhouse Animation Studios, Castlevania, they're out of Austin, I believe. Castlevania, Seis Manos, and now this. Castlevania works because Warren Ellis writes it. Please get better writers like Warren Ellis, and somebody, somewhere, please come in and be a director that this studio needs. It needs a director badly. And, Shant Nagagosian? Something like that. I'm probably butchering his name. With apologies, dude, yeah, it ain't you. If this studio, with its talented designers, and ability to actually portray fight choreography pretty interestingly, got a real good director, it could go places. It could really do stuff, and stories that don't suck like this. But that's it, folks. That's all the ranting and raving, or ranting. There's no raving that we can do about Blood of Zeus. Don't watch it. It's going to be a waste of 4 hours of your time.
It's trash.
It is at best mediocre, and parts of it are trash. Its depiction of women is trash, absolute trash.
It's got a '90s mindset on how to handling female characters. For
God, yes. I mean, like the worst parts of '90s X-Men cartoon in the way they deal with their female characters is better than most of this. But anyway. So that's it, folks. That's our show for tonight. We're going to go try not to freeze here in the Northeast. We're all here in Massachusetts at various locations around the state. And, everywhere from D.C. up to, Maine got dumped on, and we're no exception. So Phoebe, agree with you guys. The faults with the animation, probably because they're focusing their efforts on Castlevania, would even pass as long as the story is good. I agree with that. I'd let a lot of this stuff go. Because, again, I think the animation is at times pretty good, and the design is, I think, really nice. If the story was worth it, but alas, it ain't. So yes, thank you.
And all be winners.
Tuesday we will be catching up on a lot of the news that we just couldn't get to in our Nerd Week Live because of last Nerd Week Live's complete domination by the Disney Investor Day news. And there's probably still a few things from Investor Day we forgot. But do tune in then, 8 o'clock Tuesday night. And next week, what did we say?
Christmas Eve.
Next week is Christmas Eve. So we will not be on next week. So the next one will be the 31st. Well, it's New Year's Eve. Yeah, maybe we're not going to do this for 2 weeks, or maybe we'll move it a day. We'll let you know.
We should do a special on Wonder Woman somewhere around there.
That is true. So Wonder
Mhm.
Woman comes out. Yeah, we will. You know what? We might wind up doing back-to-back Nerd Week Live slash, Tuesday night, Wednesday night.
Mm.
So
That would be cool.
let's call that our tentative, definite plan. Um, the next time you will see us will be Wednesday the 30th for a full fat spoiler chat, and it will be Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman 1984, that is. Because the original Wonder Woman we can't spoil because it's been out for a long time.
Hmm.
Anyway, for me, Rodney Brown, that's it. Good night. Byron, say good night.
Good night.
There you go. And Manny,
Later,
you and
Gators.
Sir Lawrence say good night.
uh, uh, be well.
Awesome. And be safe, folks. Whether you were dumped on with a foot and a half of snow or not, be safe out there. And definitely, as we always say, COVID-19, even with the vaccine starting to hit places, we don't even know whether the vaccine stops transmission from person to person. We just know that it means you won't get sick.
Hmm.
So wear the mask, wash the hands 6 feet apart. Do it for the next 6 months at least, whether you've got a shot or not. And I hope everybody gets their shots soon. And on that note, good.